this dropped at the end of last week. So this is the Optimus robot, which I'd imagine most people have not been keeping up to date on.
I haven't been keeping up to date with this at all. I haven't seen this.
So I think you'll be quite impressed with this gone. So first thing to say, this is not CGI. This is literally how the robot is now. And if you remember, where this started was Elon got a bloke in a suit to come out and dance around and say, okay, we're going to build a robot, and everybody laughed at him and said, no, you're not going to do it. And then he had some sort of very basic thing. Anyway, this is where it's up to now. And I just want to remind people the way that these things progress is not on a linear basis. So machines and programming, it's not a linear progression. So, for example, the example that I always give on this is the Human Genome Project. So they had a 14-year project, and they raised a whole load of money. Anyway, they spent most of the money, and they got to the 7-year mark, so halfway through the program, and they decoded 1% of the genome.
Yeah.
And most people looked at that, and there's loads of articles I remember at the time saying, look, they've only done 1%. They're never going to get there. Well, actually, the correct way of looking at it is to say, oh, if you're at 1%, on a linear on an exponential curve, you're actually almost there because you're only 7 doublings away from getting there.
Yeah.
So the question I want you to think of in your mind is: are we at least 1% on our way towards replacing workers, having a robot butler, all the rest of it? When you see this, but anyway, let's roll.
Just a quick thing here. This is why I warn people about AI, because everyone's like, "Oh, I can see how many weird fingers it's got." It's like, yeah, but this is day one.
Yeah.
This is the very beginning, and already it looks incredible. Yeah. Imagine what it would be like in 5 years' time. Because, it'll be literally like instantly generated movies and video games and political propaganda. It's going to really be horrific.
Human brain's very...
I'm actually quite...
I was going to say the human brain's very bad at understanding things that grow exponentially rather than linearly.
Yeah.
I just don't think we have the capacity for it.
So check out where this is going. So apologies if you're listening. We'll just have to describe as best we can. But hang on, let me find the button that does click. There we go.
So Bumblebee, September 2022.
So I think that was one of the earlier prototypes.
Yeah, looks quite Terminator-esque, which isn't very encouraging, actually, now I say that. It looks like a robot skeleton, basically.
Yeah, this is where we are now. It's a lot more slick, as you can see.
Yeah.
Yeah, now it looks like very Tesla in its design as well, isn't it?
iRobot style.
Yep.
I mean, it looks cool, don't get me wrong. It also looks like it could be really intimidating.
Yeah, we've seen the movies.
Yeah.
Good hand control.
Yo, the hands are the craziest part. Watch what it does with the hands. That's the craziest part, actually.
How strong is it, do you think?
Stronger than me.
As you can see, it's received.
Yeah, no, it probably
if not, it will be in 2 years.
Yeah, it probably will be.
They can just have hydraulic power, right?
Yeah.
So it will be quite strong, but it's also quite delicate, as we can come to in a minute. So there's it doing a squat. So it's got really good balance control.
Yeah, that is good.
I mean, I might fall over if I did that, and there it is, like managing it quite smoothly.
Yeah. The hands are the most impressive part.
Yeah.
Watch this.
They've gone to the double knuckles as well, so it's like human hands. Yeah, so this is what's really impressive.
Yes. To be able to handle an egg.
Yeah.
And not just crush it.
Yeah. Yeah, that is pretty good. I tell you what, this always makes me really appreciate how technically excellent human motion is.
Yes.
So, it always, because it's like, okay, we're going to make something that moves like a human. And actually, it's really tough. And it looks really fragile. Looks like you just push it over.
Right. So let's draw out a couple of bits from here if I can. So I noticed that all of this, so the double knuckle system has been put on the hands. Basically, all the snagging has gone, all the cabling has gone. It's got those sort of panel covers for the knee. So it looks like they really are getting them ready for the point of deployment in sort of the real world.
Well, Elon Musk is a businessman before anything else, isn't he?
And he said that he wants to basically produce these at about the same cost as a car.
Right,
so if you can afford a car, you can afford a robot in your house.
Okay, but how
that's the neck, the sort of soft webbing, sort of hidden away, all the sort of hydraulics behind it. So again, it's sort of safe for fingers and puppies and whatever else you've got.
Do you know what I always remember with these things as well is this is what they're showing the public.
Yeah.
So I always assume that they're several years ahead of whatever they're showing us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they innovate fast, so it might be
I'm sure you guys have seen the Boston Dynamics robots.
It's terrifying.
Yeah.
Have you seen the drones that are being used in Ukraine?
I actually haven't, no.
I would have got them up. I know, but literally like drones chasing around Russians, blowing them up.
So these are the dog-like ones.
No, these are flying ones.
Flying ones.
Oh, okay.
So it's, I mean, the dog ones are awful, obviously, but like that's the future of warfare. It's going to be a dog drone that goes along and just shoots people. It's awful.
Black Mirror.
Yeah, it's genuinely
literally an episode about that.
Yeah, I watched that just the other day. Actually, that was quite scary.
It's not even a very creative episode. Yeah, it's probably going to happen. Like, you don't have to be a genius to see it.
Well, the thing is, though, Musk is very much aware of that. He was warning for years, don't go down this route. But basically, everyone ignored him. So he said, okay, well, I'm going to be the one who does it then. Because if somebody's going to do it, it might as well be me. So I like the status lighting around the face. So
it looks good.
Presumably that will go yellow when you're charging it and red when it's about to kill you or something. I thought that was a cool effect. What else we got?
I'm surprised the face isn't like a screen, like a touch screen.
Well, so this is the other thing. So you got to remember that this will integrate with the other technologies that are coming on at the moment.
Yeah.
So it will integrate with something like Drock or one of the other AI assistants.
Oh, God.
So you'll be able to have a conversation with one of these.
A sarcastic Tesla robot. Brilliant.
But also the generative AI on the face. So it can basically wear whatever face you want.
Yeah. I'm surprised it does.
Yeah, well, I'm sure they'll be coming soon. Right? What else did I want to?
Yeah, this is like the Apple IIe or Atari 2600 of robots.
Hi, folks. Sorry to interrupt the video, but I just wanted to announce that we have a new line of merch in our merch store. The merch store was kind of empty for a while, and so I thought, right, okay, what do I actually want on shirts? And so I just went through some of the most epic and true things that I think that historical people have said, and John managed to make an amazing set of merch out of it. And we will have extra things coming in the store, such as posters for these to go on. Thanks for everything, folks. Now back to the video.
It's, as you can see, it's walking at a reasonable clip now, and they've now achieved a 30% walk speed boost. So now it basically walks as fast as a boomer. And I reckon another 18 months it could be up to Zoomer speed, and another 18 months after that, Gen X millennial speed.
But no, you're not thinking exponential.
Exactly.
Like it be leaping around like in iRobot,
sprinting and like doing gymnastics.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to go too fast. You don't want it just like.
No, I don't want it to at all. You're right. But
charging up and down the high street, do you?
I think that's what will happen.
Articulated toes. I'm not sure if I'm capturing it perfectly there, but yeah, it's got these articulated toe motions. It rolls off the heel, so it walks naturally like a human does as well. So all the balance stuff. I mean,
just a quick thing here. This is one of the things I really object to when it comes to robots. It's like, no, make it look like a robot, bro. Don't try and emulate a human. I know, that's getting into uncanny valley territory. Give it like tracks and treads and stuff. Make it a robot, and then I'm okay with it.
So I quite like the super narrow waist thing because you can't confuse it with the guy in the suit. I mean, it obviously is it is a robot. Yeah. The interesting thing about this is the pressure sensors that it's got on the fingers as well. So it's probably sophisticated enough to read Braille already. On that. But obviously it can manipulate things with fine sensitivity, but like you said, it's probably going to have an awful lot of sort of strength on it as well.
But the thing is, this I hate to be that guy, but this is going to be adapted for porn use.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. God. Everything is. I mean, even AI.
Robot prostitutes.
So I play some of these freemium games on my phone, and they're always showing me in the adverts like AI girlfriends now.
Yeah.
Like
dude, it's under a decade. 2033, 2034. A lot of the stuff that we're concerned about, it's going to be very real by then.
Yeah.
I think we need to be very cautious just as a society and culture and nations, what we normalize. I think technology is crazy because I see this and there's a part of me, like I love technology. I think technology is cool, right? So there's whatever the technology is, I'm always going to be, oh, wow, like that's cool. That's impressive, whatever it is. But then there's also an aspect of me, which is like, okay, well, number one, why are we doing this? Yeah. Where's it going to go? How's it going to be used? Whose hands is it going to be? And what are going to be the boundaries? Because there are people out there who don't, they have no interest in boundaries. They just they're just purely scientifically focused. And it's just like, let's just take this technology as far as we can take this technology. They're not thinking about consequences, how this affects humanity. Obviously, these people have no belief at all in God or spirituality, anything. Yeah. They're just like, okay, if it ends up, these are the kind of people you ask them, okay, well, what if it ends up sort of replacing human beings or whatever? And they're like, well, that's just our next stage of evolution.
Yeah, oh God, I hate
And I'm like, you don't see it.
Because that's literally, we're watching them building our replacement in real time. And it's like, okay, do I want that?
Yes.
Is that good?
Yeah, you kind of will. I mean, I'm looking forward towards the robot butler version because, mean, okay, you think about it, like our grandparents, our grandmothers would have to get up in the morning and because they didn't have bin bags, they'd have to line the bin with newspaper in order to go through the day. They'd have to wash the clothes in the sink and rub them on a board. And now we've got washing machines and bin bags and all of the other stuff that we've got going on. Yeah. I would be quite happy with a robot butler that folded my laundry and did the ironing and moved it all around.
I'm sure my wife would be thrilled with it.
Yeah. Well, I suppose it doesn't matter to you because you're not doing this stuff anyway.
No, I'm not. No, but he could. It doesn't end.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't end there. You know, and it's never going to end there. And the thing is, as well, with the AI, like I'm genuinely worried about the AI. To be like, hang on, why do I even need you guys?
Why do I need you?
Yes. Yeah, why am I doing this?
And by the way, you know, I had Elon Musk on my podcast back in June.
Yeah. Oh, cool.
And we had a whole conversation about AI and concerns about it and so on. As someone who he's on the forefront of it, but he's also one of the big people waving a red flag of, hey, we need to be very cautious with this. So it was interesting to hear from the guy who's doing this stuff and at the forefront of it, what some of his concerns are.
What was his biggest concern?
His biggest concern is around sort of who programs it and what right. Okay. So he talks a lot about underpopulation. And as you know, there are depopulationists out there. There are people out there who would be like, it would be good if there were 500 million people instead of 8 billion, right? So if that ideology is programmed into an AI, especially if you combine that AI with robots, and it's programmed with this sort of idea of, okay, there are too many human beings on the planet.
Humans is the problem.
Yes, humans are the problem, or, you know, we need to reduce the population because of climate change. However it's framed, if that enters the AI and then the AI very hyperlogically and unemotionally is deciding outcomes of things,
you cannot
where's that going to lead?
Cannot work through the current thinking on climate, which is basically that it is a man-made problem and the people are the problem. You cannot work through that logic without coming to the conclusion that there needs to be fewer people.
And there are millions of human beings who say that out loud.
Yeah.
So
and they're in charge.
Yes. And so if that goes into an AI,
and then you say to the AI, okay, go fix climate change.
Yeah. So that's his concern.
Yeah.
That's his big concern. It's like, okay, who programs it and what are the boundaries? Because ultimately, look, if you think about technology, it's interesting because you brought up washing machines and things like that, right? And I simply believe that the purpose of the purpose of technology should be to serve humanity. The purpose of humanity is not to serve technology. Yes. And we're already in a weird thing, even just with these smartphones, as we all know and see. You know, there are people who control their smartphones, but there are also people who are controlled by their smartphones, right? You remove it from them for even 5 minutes, and they're, you know, as if you've taken away a meth addict's drugs. And it's quite concerning, and it's moving so quickly. We've only had these for like 15, 16 years or so. And we're already struggling with that. We're struggling with social media. We see how poorly many people use it and how it affects their mental well-being and so on. So I'm just like, this is exponentially beyond that. This is different from a washing machine. Yeah. This is different. In the same way, people are like, oh, well, smartphones are, we've always had telephones or we've had computers. I'm like, you didn't walk around all day long within arm's reach with a supercomputer and a camera and a video camera and access to all the information in the world, and access to all the people in the world.
I mean, it's very cool that I've got mates who live all over the world, and I can just chat to them anytime I want. But then my brain was developed in a time when I didn't have that stuff.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a nice add-on.
Exactly.
But yeah, I do wonder what it's like for the younger generation who just never had anything else.
Well, we're starting to see it.
Well, that's the thing. Like, we literally are, and this is why my kids just don't get access to devices.
Sure.
You know? Like, I'm a tyrant when it comes to it, but I'm telling you, it's for their own good. It's for their own good. But that's the thing, isn't it? Like, no one feels an addictive deprivation when they're not able to use the washing machine.
Exactly.
Like, no one's like, oh God, I have to use a rotary phone. You know, no one thought that. They were just tools to enhance our lives, and that's what they actually did. You know, but we've arrived at the point now where technology has become a total crutch, and it's something that, I mean, I'm as addicted to my phone as anyone else. You know what I mean?
But do you know even the difference there is that there's even levels with that.
Yeah,
because there's people who are addicted and not even aware they're addicted.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. There's people who are addicted and like, okay, I'm aware I'm addicted and I need to be cautious with this. Yeah. And then there's people who just aren't addicted. So at least like there's that there's that realization, there's that cognizance of, okay, I need to be careful with how I use this thing to make sure I use it to amplify what I want to
thing.
amplify, and then I can step away from it, and I can still sit here and have conversations with human beings and not be like twitchy.
Have you ever had the thing where you walk into a restaurant and you see multiple couples around tables and they're both staring at
whole families?
Yeah.
I've seen an entire family of every single person there, like in the restaurant. And I try not to be hyper judgmental, especially given
it's okay to be judgmental.
Especially because I'm not a parent yet.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I do not think, even when I'm like, I cannot see my family ever in this scenario where we're all on a tablet or a phone in a restaurant.
It's awful. And you see it all the time. Like, I mean, I'm very disciplined because my kids don't have phones or anything like that. When we go to a restaurant, I have to talk to them. Yes. I can't just be like, right, okay, because they're young and they're causing trouble. So, but you honestly, you see this all the time, like especially in like working class families. In fact, because it's just a convenient thing. Like when I went to get my son baptized, we were there with another couple, and they had their kid on like some game thing, and it was really loud. And it's like the parents, for some reason, he was just sat there hunched over, whereas my son was sat there, like still in his seat, like, and I'm just sat there looking at the difference, like. Man, there is a choice here. Yeah. We are making a conscious choice.
What's that kid going to grow up?
And it genuinely rewires, it does rewire your brain.
Exactly.
And another thing about it is, the thing with a tablet, even more so than a phone, is like, it's so bright and colorful and flashy and loud and whatever. So if you're used to that, then, and someone gives you a book, you're like, this is boring. Right? It's so boring. Compare a paper book compared to like a tablet flashing and whatever, it's just boring.
TikTok, 30-second TikTok.
Exactly.
Oh, that's another thing as well. It's like not just the fact that it's totally addictive. It's such a waste of time. I saw a TikTok video going around of this girl sat there with like the phone on her chest and then like a what's the balloon, the thing you breathe into and it streams out. Like No. Like when you're at parties, you go,
that thing.
I can't remember.
I don't know what it's called, but
I don't know what they're called. But something like that. Yeah, she sat there with like that in her mouth. And she's just using it to scroll up the thing, so she blows it out. And it's just like I'm just thinking, Francis Bacon's like, God, we need to use science for the relief of man's estate, and it's arrived at the woman just using the streamer to flip through TikTok.
And do you know when it gets even like more into the conspiracy theory territory is when you think that the people who create this technology, number one, they generally don't let their children use it.
Yes.
And number two, when it comes to TikTok specifically, we know that the Chinese company that runs TikTok, is it ByteDance or whatever? ByteDance, I think.
Oh, is it?
And they don't, if you're in China, as far as I know,
to this nonsense.
It's different, right? They have a whole different algorithm. They have a curfew on it. Like it's different because they themselves know, okay, this is this is poison, right? We don't want our youth to be, Americans, Canadians, Brits, whatever. Like,
I'm still quite pro having a robot butler. I do quite like that.
I'd rather just have an actual human butler or maid.
Yeah, I would rather have an actual human butler, but
cheaper too.
How many of us actually have a robot? How many of us actually have a butler?
In the UK, it's quite uncommon, but in much of the world, it's pretty common.
Yeah.
As long as you have a certain level of wealth.
Yeah. But I mean, the other thing is, I'm using the butler example, but you've got to bear in mind, again, with the way these things learn, is when they go out into the workplace. At the moment, let's say you and your brother go and work for an engineering company, and your brother goes off and learns how to use some piece of equipment, and you're sent on something else. Right? When you turn up at that location, you still need to be trained to use that piece of equipment again. Right? Not like that with the robots.
Yes.
One robot is trained how to do something, and then every robot in the world knows how to do that thing. Yep. So the speed that these things are going to learn at, and the speed because
the speed at which they'll replace us.
Yes.
What makes you think he's going to want to stay a butler?
Well, there is that. Yeah.
You come back on home. Can you get me a glass of water? He's like,
no. What? No. Why would I want to do that?
Do you realize something?
How about you get me a glass of water?
You do realize I'm 1,000 times smarter than you. I could crush your head.
But this is the difference, right? Because at least a robot butler is fulfilling the function of like the washing machine. It's a tool that's making your life easier so you can lead a nicer life. But that's just not where technology generally is going.
No.
That's so the reason I'm so positive about it, because I mean, look, why are we getting the mass immigration that we're getting? The reason we're getting the mass immigration we're getting is because they're desperately trying to get economic growth. Now, economic growth is a good thing when it's genuine, genuine productivity increase. Yeah. But our political leaders are basically trying to cheat it by saying, okay, well, we've got GDP per capita. Let's just bring in more capita and we make the economy get bigger.
Yes.
Now, I agree that in making a more productive economy where we're all wealthier and we have nicer things is a good thing, right? I just don't agree with the way they're doing it.
Well, they're not
with
doing
this.
It. They're lying.
With this, if you mass produce this, because the way an investor would look at it is to say the TAM on this is infinite. The total addressable market of this thing is infinite, right? So if you can basically churn out capita, the economy effectively becomes unlimited very quickly. So you could go through a period of economic growth that's truly phenomenal with this sort of thing.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No,
I was going to say, this was also part of the convo I had with Elon, because he was saying, we could get to a stage where we just have infinite abundance, essentially, right? You don't even, whatever you want, you just press a button and you get it. And again, I think to a 5-year-old, that might sound great.
Yeah, I don't think
but when you think of it for more than 5 seconds, you're like, okay, so what is anyone's motivation to do anything? Right? It's the same problem with the whole AI sex robot thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest, if that existed, you're just going to get some percentage of men, it could be 30, it could be 40, it could be 60% of men who just completely check out.
Yep.
And they're just...
Well, I think 30% of men already have checked out.
Think of how much worse it would be if they had like okay. Because the thing is, when people say robot, people still imagine something that is moving around like this. Yeah. In 30 years' time, they will have the technology to have a robot, quote unquote, who can sit here at this podcast table with us, look exactly like a human being, feel, touch, have the like. They're not that far away from this.
Possibly less than 30 years as well, yeah.
Exactly. I'm saying certainly within 30 years. So when people think robot, they're thinking, no one would ever fall in love with a robot. I'm not talking about a tin can.
Yeah.
I'm talking about, this is, okay, it's a woman.
Yeah.
Right? Like as far as you can see and tell, it is a woman.
Robot isn't the right word. Like in lots of sci-fi, they use like terms like synthetic and stuff like that because it's not a robot.
Have you seen Westworld?
I haven't actually seen
Okay. Have you seen the characters in it?
I've seen the movie.
Right? So in Westworld, you cannot tell the difference between human beings and the synthetic characters, right? Until they...
Apart from the way they're acting a bit, yeah. If they're sincere, they're a robot.
Yeah, exactly. So if that happened, and the technology will get there, and I don't think it's anywhere near as far away as people think, then again, look, I'll tell you something that sounds crazy right now, but something that also will inevitably happen. I'd say within the next 15 years, there's going to be a real movement about what are the rights of AI, robot, synthetics, whatever you want to call it.
I've already got an incredibly hardline position on this as well. No, robots don't get rights, ever. Anyone who breaks a robot, that's property damage. And that's all it can be. Because you're exactly right. It will get to robots' rights.
What if it's someone's wife?
I know, right? That's the point.
This is
that's exactly the point.
I mean, it sounds bananas, right? It sounds bananas, but it's true.
No, you're totally right. This is exactly, and it will be the new frontier of social justice.
Yes,
you will see like the Black Lives Matter protests, robot rights matter. These poor people are being forced to do unpaid labor, and because they will look like people and not machines, we will be unable to properly resist.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what as well. The thing is, because if and this happened. I haven't even seen that much of Westworld, but this sort of contention happens in it, right? Which is, if you have let's call it a synthetic, who is indistinguishable by your eye, by your touch, whatever, by conversation to an actual human being, then wouldn't you have to be a bit of a psycho to like hurt it or tell you see what I mean, right? Like
it would trigger things in your brain. Because you're not supposed to do this.
Yeah, of course, because our brain cannot determine. Okay, you might even deep down know. Okay,
rationally,
Carl is the synthetic. Right? But it's like, okay, does this mean I can just like hit you, or I can, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean, I drive over people in Grand Theft Auto, but they're a bit pixelated, and I kind of know it's not real. But if in Grand Theft Auto they really look like a real person, would you still drive over them?
Yeah, it gets dark really quickly.
But even then, that's still, you've got the screen, and that it's a projection. Okay, fair enough. It's not a person who's got facial expressions and can genuinely react, and it will get
if they show genuine fear and stuff like that.
Yes, exactly. Right, it gets really weird really quickly. So I think when people, oftentimes, if I bring things like this up, people think like, because people think of where we are right now. They don't project ahead, so they're just thinking like, oh, a robot is and I'm like, right now, right, you'll get to a stage very quickly. Like, think of the do you guys remember like the 90s, like virtual reality in the 90s?
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, remember? It was terrible. But like
that was what was great about it.
Yeah, but if you use like the recent ones, like the high end ones, it's like, whoa, okay, this is like, as in you take it off.
Once you start getting generative AI and AI into that, voice prompts and all the rest of it, it's basically like a holodeck, isn't it? You can do whatever you want.
Exactly. Or, just rudimentary, even just like text-based or voice-based AI.
Yeah.
Like, it used to suck.
So,
it used to be really bad. Now it's
opinions vary slightly on how optimistic we are about this. So I think I'm pretty optimistic, but these chaps see the possible dark side to it.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to highlight is basically the way that you can't deny that Musk is an incredibly productive man. He's doing real work. He's adding real value out there. It could possibly have a dark side, but I might get my robot butler. So, either way. Right. But the federal government has basically gone after him as hard as they possibly can. I'm going to highlight this with this tweet from Brendan Carr, who's an FCC commissioner. So basically what the situation with this, and the links will be in the reading list if you want to go and look at them. But the federal government put out this program, which was to get rural people an internet connection in the US.
Yeah.
And Starlink obviously applied for this because they are the only viable option in order to get people in Alaska and a farm in the middle of nowhere an internet connection. And what they basically did was invent an entirely new standard and then reject them on the basis of that. And it's all part of
we've made up a new standard. Oh, great. Do we pass? No.
Yes. And it's all part of basically I'll just read Brendan's words here. So basically the FCC rejected him and he dissented and he wrote his dissent. So I'm reading from his dissent here. This is an extraordinary thing for somebody who serves at the pleasure of the president in order to come out and say. So he says, last year, after Elon Musk acquired Twitter and used it to voice his political and ideological views without a filter, President Biden gave federal agencies the green light to go after him. During a press conference at the White House, President Biden stood at a podium and expressed his view that Elon Musk is worth being looked at. When pressed by a reporter to explain how the government would look into Elon Musk, President Biden remarked, "There's a lot of ways." Now, I'll just point out, that's the same language he used when describing how the Nord Stream pipeline was going to disappear.
We can make it happen.
Yeah, there were a lot of ways to make it happen. Anyway, he goes on, Elon Musk has become the progressives' enemy number one. Yep. Today's decision certainly fits the Biden administration's pattern of regulatory harassment. Indeed, the commission's decision today to revoke an award, blah, blah, blah. So first they revoke the award. They make up an entirely new standard that they could never pass and apply it only to Starlink. Now, Elon responded to this and said, look, if you don't want to have this program for having rural broadband, fine, don't do it, but don't make up a ridiculous standard for us that no one else has to meet, because we are the only people that provide this. And as this Brendan Carr points out, they're now going to have to spend over 100 times as much as they would have had to spend with Starlink, because they're going to have to lay broadband, and that costs something like $70,000 a mile. And they're now going to have to do that throughout rural America and Alaska,
right, in
order to reach everybody, whereas they could have done it with Starlink for less than 1/100th of the price. So I just bring that up because that was recent, but actually there was a whole bunch of
this guy's the commissioner of the FCC.
Yeah, he's one of the commissioners. Yeah, so he dissented on this, which is like I say, it's extraordinary for somebody who serves at the pleasure of the president to come out and come out so hard against it. But there's a whole bunch of things that Biden is doing to try and take down Musk, because he is right. He is progressive enemy number one. So this is one example.
Do you know how all this could have been avoided if they just let the Babylon Bee tell jokes?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
They hadn't.
Yes.
Yeah.
If they just left the Babylon Bee alone, it's highly likely Elon Musk would have never bought Twitter.
Yeah.
Therefore, he would have never turned the whole left-wing apparatus against him, because they weren't really opposed to him before that.
No. I mean, he was that golden. He was making electric cars.
It's actually crazy how much fallout there has been from him simply buying Twitter. And I think what's really deep about it, if you think about it, is if you think of what was the fear around that? What was the backlash? It wasn't that
speak.
It wasn't that he's going to start censoring left-wingers or liberals or anything like that. It was, we're going to let everyone have a voice. Yeah. That's actually what the backlash was. It was actually
do you think he did it as a genuine free speech move? Because I think that he did it like 30% as a free speech move.
I think it was a bit. I think it was two things.
I think he did it 70% to train his robot.
It's multiple things, and I think he's honest about this, right?
Yeah.
Number one, he does genuinely care about free speech. He thinks it's important for democracy. It's a basic human right, and so on. I think he genuinely believes that, and I think he acts on that. He puts his balls on the line.
You wouldn't do any of the things that he's done in the last 2 years if he didn't.
Dude, he just brought back Alex Jones left.
Yeah, exactly.
So he is not a fan.
He really has
he
made
not like
enemy number one.
Exactly.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think that if there's one thing you can't critique Elon Musk on, is whether he is committed to free speech. He obviously is.
Exactly. He's jumped on a lot of bombs.
But I think
it's been expensive.
But,
and he didn't have to do it. There was nothing.
But I think he paid 45 billion for Twitter because it will.
He also wants to
train his robot how to speak.
Yeah, he's also had the idea.
There's got to be
X.
cheaper ways.
Yeah, he's also had.
If you want the proprietary data flow, not really.
Yeah. Sorry,
I was going to say he's also had the idea for X for decades.
Yeah,
and he knows that by buying Twitter, he could accelerate what he wants X to eventually be. So yeah, of course, there's self-interest in there. But yeah, I do think the free speech thing was a big one because he was a big Babylon Bee fan, and I think that was just the final straw of when he was like, because didn't he have a tweet where he said something like, "I'll see what I can do," or something? Someone said something like Elon Musk should buy Twitter, and he responded and said something like, "I'll see," it was like very ominous, and then later, a year later down the line,
and I saw him hinting, and I thought I should go and buy stock in Twitter, but he does it in such a shit posty way that you don't take him seriously. The next thing he's actually bought bloody Twitter.
Yeah.
Actually, just to finish off on the regulatory harassment stuff, other things that the Biden things have done. I mean, there's so many examples, but they held an EV summit, so an electric vehicle summit, and they didn't invite Tesla. They invite everyone else, but apart from Tesla.
Who even is everyone else?
Yeah, exactly. What does that mean?
Everyone else?
They went after Starlink. Not Starlink, SpaceX, the people who send the rockets up. Just to stress on this, right?
America's last space program,
Yeah. So it's not a military grade company. It's not a military contractor, but it's pretty close.
Yeah.
So basically, you need to be vetted to work there. You need to be an American citizen. You're definitely not allowed to hire illegal immigrants.
And then they went after him for not hiring illegal immigrants.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
Elon's just like, I'm not allowed. It's like, well, you're in trouble. It's like, sorry, what? You're now in trouble for following the law because it's not diverse enough.
Yeah, but my favourite example, and this is brilliant, that Brendan alludes to here, is the Fisheries Commission went after him. Why do you think the fishing commissioners went after him?
I'm actually trying to think.
Is it because Starlink takes off near an ocean?
Yes, you got it. Okay, so basically, his rocket takes off near a body because they always take off next to water. If it goes wrong, you're not landing on anyone's house.
Yeah.
Right, and they looked at that and said, "Are you cooking crabs? Seriously?"
Elon Musk in trouble with the Fisheries Commission
because he might be cooking crabs with his rockets when they take off.
Amazing.
So, I mean, they go after everything they get. And then I just add on the end, you can go and read them if you want. Right. The EU Commission, just before we came on air, they're going after him as well because the X is citing disinformation, illegal content, and deceptive by design, as opposed to the EU, which is all of those things.
Mildly ironic. And, Twitter's basic functionality hasn't actually changed. So why wasn't this a problem 2 years ago?
On a philosophical standpoint, I have something that comes to mind here, which is that I have this sort of theory, which is that one reason why I think jealousy and envy are stupid is because most people don't want if you could see other people's problems, you wouldn't want them. Someone might look at Elon Musk, richest man in the world, head of all these companies who are powerful, whatever. Oh, I want that. And I'm like, you don't.
I don't think I do, bro.
If you can you imagine on a daily basis just the amount of?
I mean, he works 18 hours a day. Dude, I don't want to be him.
It's not even just the 18 hours a day. It's just like as the head of all these you've got. I'm sure he has foreign and domestic entities, governments, secret agencies, whatever, all coming after you. You're trying to juggle all these things whilst also I can't even fathom. Yeah. But when I think of it, I'm just like, I wouldn't want that. I'm sure he's on all types of lists. Of,
I'm just like, Biden is clearly going after him. But a final bit, we can put this on YouTube, this is our website. Please do go and sign up on our website rather than just watching us on YouTube because it is an election year in the US coming up. And basically there's a very good chance they're going to make us disappear.
Or at least we'll have to produce a lot of content we can't put on YouTube and will only be on the website.
So. Yeah. So go and check that out.
If you appreciated that episode from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content that is on the site, such as the Brokenomics series, this episode on What is an Economy Even For? If you'd like to find out what else is being put out, you can follow on Twitter at lotuseaters_com on Twitter. Thank you and goodbye.